Okay, let's unpack this. For years, there have been these two seemingly impossible problems haunting AI image generators. The first one, trying to get them to write complex, readable text inside of visual, it was always just a garbled mess, like digital spaghetti.
Right, and that was the industry failure point. But the second problem was, just as critical for businesses and storytellers.
Character consistency.
Exactly. Generating the same mascot across dozens of scenes without it, changing its face or its proportions. Google's new system, Nano Banana Pro, it just changes the rules entirely by solving both.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are tearing into the technical specs of what a lot of reviewers are calling a generational leap in generative AI.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Nano Banana Pro model, which is powered by the incredible reasoning capabilities of Gemini 3. We've sourced a brand new technical review to guide us through this.
And our mission today is pretty simple, but it's also a challenge. We really want to understand the foundational mechanisms here. How does this system move past just basic pattern matching, making things look good, to a genuine conceptual understanding that allows for real accuracy?
So we'll cover the core tech that enables this.
Yeah.
We'll dive deep into the revolution this creates for, say, infographics and typography.
And then we'll look at the elegant solution for character and brand consistency.
And critically, we will examine the honest limitations, what it still can't do.
Yeah.
So let's start with the leap itself. This isn't just a bigger version running faster, it's a totally different approach. The claim is that this is a generational shift, not just an update. Why?
It really just boils down to process control. Before, you'd hand a model a prompt, and it would just immediately start generating pixels.
Right, the rendering.
The whole system is focused on the look of the prompt.
Yeah.
But Nano Banana Pro, it introduces an advanced large language model, Gemini 3, as a reasoning engine.
So it's at the beginning of the workflow.
Right at the start, the model thinks first.
Okay, so if I type a prompt, what is Gemini 3 actually doing before any pixels even start to form?
It's like an internal architect. It translates your concept into rigid structural constraints. It breaks down the prompt semantically. So if you ask for an image comparing two historical events, it doesn't just look for pictures of those events.
It reasons.
It reasons. It asks, what facts are needed here? What's the best format to communicate this?
And crucially, that reasoning step is tied to real-time verification, isn't it?
Exactly. Gemini 3 can use web search to gather data in real time or, verify facts that are needed for the image. Only after that whole reasoning and verification phase does it build a detailed plan.
A constraint map.
A constraint map, yeah, that Nano Banana Pro, the image generator part, has to obey. It's like a digital architect planning the precise load-bearing structure before laying a single visual break.
Reviewers even saw a thinking drop-down feature that let them audit the process. You could literally watch Gemini 3 tracing its history and verifying facts before the image was even rendered.
It's the difference between asking an artist to paint a historical scene from memory and giving that artist a few hours to research the exact clothing, the setting, the factual context before they even pick up a brush.
So how does that thinking first step translate to practical, factual accuracy in the finished image?
It uses web search to verify facts, ensuring accuracy before rendering the visual.
That deep planning leads us straight to the text revolution, because text was the industry's big bottleneck.
Oh, yeah.
When we talk about text failing, we mean the AI just saw letters as visual textures, as abstract squiggles, not as symbols with meaning.
The severity of that problem was crippling. I mean, you could spend 10 minutes crafting the perfect prompt, and the AI would still spell basic words wrong.
All the time.
Nano Banana Pro has achieved one-shot perfect results. The first generation is the perfect result, even with complex paragraphs of text.
I have to admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, especially when I'm just trying to get a simple sign right, trying to generate a product label or a book cover with accurate titles. It was just a prompt credit graveyard before this.
And this is where that reasoning model really shines. It treats the text not as a visual thing, but as a conceptual requirement dictated by Gemini 3's initial plan.
Right.
I mean, look at the specific tests they ran. They created this highly technical, clean, medical-style infographic breaking down REM versus deep sleep.
And it had perfectly readable labels, correct terminology, none of that AI weirdness, which is so crucial for any kind of technical content.
Then they pushed the factual boundary. They asked the system to research the top 5 budget coffee machines and to accurately pull pros, cons, and real ratings from different sources.
And lay it out in a chart.
And laid out in a neat comparison chart. That requires data ingestion, reasoning, and then very precise layout.
That shifts the tool from being just a purely aesthetic engine into a serious design and data viz assistant, all in one process.
Right.
The ultimate stress test, though, for typography and layout had to be that comic encyclopedia page.
That test is just absurdly difficult for a generative model. It demands placing large blocks of verbatim text nested in speech bubbles. It needs dynamic formatting, dramatic typography, color-coded sections, and precise power-level stats, all in one complex layout.
That's a challenge that needs a semantic understanding of the text blocks, not just placing a few letters. The system had to handle paragraph fitting, font changes, stat boxes, and keep it all accurate.
So beyond simple captions, what was the most difficult text formatting test it handled?
The model flawlessly formatted a dense, multi-section comic book encyclopedia page.
Wow.
Now we move to the second major solution. Consistency, or the lack of it. Character drift was the real commercial and narrative barrier for all the previous AI systems. You could generate a beautiful mascot one time, but the second time, the line weight on its ear was slightly off, or its proportions changed in a subtle way.
And that's a disaster for any agency or brand manager trying to scale content. You can't build brand trust if your mascot's face changes in every single ad.
No.
So Nano Banana Pro addresses this using a technique the reviewer called the Pro workflow.
Okay, let's detail that workflow. This is really critical for anyone who's involved in brand identity.
It relies on using Gemini 3's analytical power. So step 1, you ask Gemini to analyze an existing asset, a logo, a previous character render, and then formalize the brand guidelines from that.
The vibe, the colors.
The vibe, the specific colors, hex codes even, and the typography constraints.
So we're using the LLM to codify the style. What's step 2?
Well, since those guidelines can be long and text prompts have limits, you convert them into specific visual assets. So you're basically just taking screenshots of the style guide.
I see.
Step 3, you upload those screenshots as dedicated reference images to Nano Banana Pro. This process gets around the limits of text-only prompts, and it locks in the aesthetic for every new asset you generate.
That means the model is treating the brand style as a single, immutable visual token instead of just a list of suggestions.
Exactly, and the character tests proved it.
Right, they tested the mascot across wildly different scenarios.
Holding a latte, driving a scooter, and the mascot was perfectly reproducible. Identical line weight, identical proportions, no matter what the action was.
They also ran an even more demanding test, the emotion panel test. This generated a 6-panel sheet for emotions: cheerful, sleepy, annoyed, where the character had to shift its expression without any structural distortion.
And the fidelity was unwavering.
It was.
And maybe the most revealing was the storyboard camera test. Shifting perspective, like from a mid-shot to a full-body shot, that usually causes tiny details to drift, a facial structure, an accessory. But here the reviewer found that every small detail was preserved, even across dramatic perspective shifts.
So what's the secret to ensuring the brand style stays locked when generating new assets?
Uploading converted brand guideline screenshots as dedicated reference images is the best technique. Mid-roll sponsor read. Okay, shifting focus a little. The model's performance, in both consistency and text, it points to its deeper and I think most exciting power. Genuine conceptual understanding. It understands ideas and relationships, not just, collections of pixels.
That conceptual power can sound a bit abstract, but the practical examples are really stunning. Take the reverse engineering a recipe test. A reviewer uploaded a photo of a finished, kind of complex steak dish.
Right.
Then they asked the AI for a photo of all the ingredients, labeled with their quantities.
And the result was that the model correctly identified and visualized the meat, the butter, the garlic, the heavy cream, everything necessary for that dish. It required understanding the visual inputs and the underlying chemistry that created the meal.
It's not just matching steak to a database of ingredients, it's inferring the whole process. Then there was the geographic intelligence test, zooming in on Vatican City and maintaining accurate spatial relationships. The position of the trees, the obelisk, even at a 67x zoom.
Which suggests the model is not relying on flat 2D approximations. It seems to maintain some kind of internal synthetic coordinate system, projecting constraints onto what's essentially a 3D map of the location.
And the final piece of evidence for that conceptual linkage was the translation accuracy test. It coherently translated English text on a cereal box into French.
No made-up words.
No made-up words. It showed genuine language processing tied directly into the visual output.
Whoa. 2-sec silence. Just
That's...
imagine scaling that conceptual understanding, that ability to reason and translate ideas into structural maps to a billion queries a day, handling things far beyond just images, integrating data streams across media. That is the actual generational leap.
That conceptual power is undeniable, but the reviewer did offer an honest assessment of limitations. It is not infallible yet, and this is important for users to understand.
Right. The biggest frustration was around specific geometric instruction, specifically pose control. If the reviewer asks the model to make a character adopt a very specific detailed pose from a reference drawing, say a complex martial arts stance, Nano Banana Pro consistently ignored it.
And it just substituted its own pose instead. Why? I mean, if it understands complex concepts and spatial relationships, why does it struggle with specific input like a reference pose?
It ignores pose reference drawings, preferring to generate its own character positions instead.
It seems to prioritize the character's identity and its action, what the character is doing, over the precise form, the exact geometry of the pose.
Right. And there are minor flaws, too. Small text on products, tiny text or fine print on product labels or, say, watch faces, often fails to render crisply when you zoom in.
Even though the large logos are perfect.
Perfect. And finally, the reality of any AI rollout. Inconsistent community results. Variation is expected, there are constant model updates, there's randomness in the generation. Your results might vary a bit from the peak examples.
After analyzing all the evidence, though, the verdict is pretty compelling.
It's best in class. Nano Banana Pro absolutely blows all other image generation models out of the water for versatility, accuracy, and just practical application.
We can still look at the competitive landscape. Midjourney is still incredibly strong for raw, pure aesthetic beauty. It can maybe create a subjectively prettier image, but it's still fundamentally weak on text and consistency. Nano Banana Pro takes the crown because it delivers both high quality and high utility, especially for commercial and technical use cases.
So what does this actually mean for you, the listener, in your day-to-day work?
Well, for marketers, it means generating campaign-ready assets that automatically adhere to brand guidelines in a single prompt. No constant human oversight.
For educators, you can now describe a complex concept like photosynthesis and get a publication-ready accurate visual explanation or a labeled chart instantly.
Yeah.
And for professional creators, you finally have consistent characters across unlimited scenarios and camera angles. It unlocks some serious world-building potential. So we should probably just reiterate the best practices here. Use Gemini 3 to formalize and create those guidelines.
Right.
Use screenshots of those guidelines as your visual references to lock in the style. And always use Nano Banana Pro to generate text from scratch that is its strongest use case. But manually verify any highly specialized technical text, just to be safe.
The accessibility message here is just so powerful. These aren't capabilities that are promised for the future. They are proven and available today. It represents years of research paying off in a tangible, practical leap.
The fact that this system solved consistency and complex text at the same time is proof that the technology has moved beyond treating the world as just pixels. This conceptual understanding moves past simple pattern matching. It's moving toward genuine comprehension of intent and structure.
The tools exist, the capabilities are proven. The only question left is, what will you create now that this level of fidelity and accessibility is available to everyone? Out to Row Music.